In this video, I'm going to share with you the advice that I would give myself if I had to start learning chess all over again, starting from the very beginning of learning how the pieces move to getting to a pretty good level, in fact, better than most people. I learned how to play chess when I was 7 years old, so I've pretty much known how to play my entire life, and I started taking it more seriously and studying and playing in over-the-board tournaments a few years back in 2020 with the chess boom. Everyone was publishing content and everyone was playing because the Queen's Gambit came out, so it became really popular. And since then, I have climbed to an online chess rating on chess.com of over 1800 ELO rapid, and I've even placed first and second in a few over-the-board tournaments, winning some cash prizes and trophies, so that's pretty fun. And if you follow the steps that I'm going to outline in this video, then I can guarantee that you are going to fall in love with the 64 squares, and you'll even start to see some benefits in your strategic thinking and focus capabilities in other areas of your life, whether it be work or other passion projects. Chess is a beautiful game that will help you develop really important life skills. Okay, step number one to learning how to play chess would be, of course, to learn the rules. That goes for any game out there. So what I actually recommend here is going on to chess.com and looking at their free lessons that they have available for absolute beginners. These are great tutorials. They have videos, they have practice exercises for you, and you can learn very quickly how the pieces move and some basic checkmates, like 2-rook ladder mate, a queen and king versus king, and king and rook versus king. These are the basic checkmates that you need to know in order to actually win a game of chess if you get to that point. You're going to learn about the point system, how pawns are worth 1 point, knights and bishops are worth 3, rooks are 5, queens are 9, and kings are worth infinite points because they decide the game. Learning these point values is going to be absolutely crucial if you want to gain a good understanding of how chess works. Because once you start trading pieces, you need to understand, okay, is that good for me or bad? If I lose a pawn, but I'm getting a rook from my opponent, well, that's 4 extra points of material for me, so that's great. But if it went the other way around and I give up my queen for a bishop, well, then I'm down 6 points, and that doesn't make very much sense. At this point, I would also start learning some basic opening principles so that you can start your game off on the right foot. I mean, if you started a race with poor form and you're trying to run on your hands and knees on a race, well, that's not going to be very good to start you off, right? So you first need to learn how to position yourself and how to take those first few steps, and chess is very similar. You need to learn how to create a solid position for yourself and your pieces, kind of regardless of what your opponent is doing, because they are probably going to be doing crazy stuff at the beginning level. But if you have a solid understanding of, okay, I need to attack the center with pawns, I need to develop my bishops and knights, and I need to castle my king to safety. If you know those 3 things, that's going to put you ahead of a lot of beginners out there who are just learning the game. Okay, so let's say you've done a great job learning the very basics of the game. You know how the pieces move, you know material, you know your opening principles. Now what? The next step here would be to just start playing games. And the easiest and most accessible way to do this is online. Unless you happen to have some after-school program or some friends with a chessboard and you can get together, the easiest way is literally to make a free account online and just start playing some games. I really don't recommend playing games against the bots that are online. There are bots with different difficulty levels and playing strengths, and these can be kind of fun to play against because they'll give you like trash talk or commentary and stuff, but the thing about the bots is that it doesn't create a realistic opponent and a realistic feel for the game because they have bot logic, not human logic. When you're playing against a human, their time that they spend on each move is going to vary. A bot will play instantly, and that can even throw you off just that. But also the moves themselves. When you're playing against a human, usually there's some kind of logic behind it. Even if it's not very good logic, there's something there, and you could kind of point to, oh, maybe they're trying to do this. But with a bot, they tend to just kind of make moves based off of the giant backlog of logic that they have behind it, and they're like, oh, well, I can evaluate that if I played this move, then I'm going to give them this amount of advantage, so I'm going to do that because I'm at this difficulty level. That's how bots work, and the moves can be a bit jarring, and they don't always make that much sense. So I really recommend playing against humans online at your own rating level. As far as time format goes, I do really recommend when you're starting out, and even later on when you're more advanced, I still follow this, playing longer time formats. The more time you have, the better, because you're less likely to blunder and you get to sit and think about your move for quite a long time without rushing and feeling like you suck because you didn't have time to think through your move. So I recommend a minimum of 10 minutes per game with bonus time, if you can. So 10 minutes plus 10 seconds every move is great. 15 plus 10 is also good. And if you have time for a 30-minute game, boot that up. And I really don't recommend playing Blitz when you're just starting out, and definitely not Bullet. These can be fun, don't get me wrong, but you don't have the pattern recognition at this point, you don't have the intuition to play moves that quickly, and it's just going to create bad habits. Because you might get away with something in a short time format because your opponent won't see it, but that's not going to help your overall playing strength and your understanding of the game. Okay, so rant about Blitz and time format over. Now let's get into my next recommendation for someone just starting out with the game of chess, and that is to continue developing your understanding of the game and strategy. There is an absolute ocean of free resources online to learn this kind of stuff, YouTube videos, website resources. I would start solving puzzles at this point to develop your tactical understanding of the basic tactical patterns. Pins, double attacks, skewers, forks, discovered attacks, stuff like this. Learning these tactical patterns is going to skyrocket your playing ability, and you're going to blunder less, and you're going to take advantage of your opponent's blunders because you're going to see, oh, they blundered a fork, and my knight can go here, and I can win their queen because I deliver a check to their king, and I attack their queen. So you can win games very easily like that. I would also start learning more overall strategy of the game, not just tactics. I would learn more in depth about opening principles. So we know our basics. I want to take the center, develop my pieces, and castle my king. But what else? I mean, that's only a few things. Well, you could start learning about how you don't want to move pieces more than once in the opening if you can avoid it. You want to develop your pieces to their most active possible squares. You don't want to deliver checks for no reason if your opponent can just block or counterattack. You want to wait to develop your queen until the rest of your position is kind of set up to maximize the efficiency of your first queen move. When it comes to the middle game, you want to learn how to utilize your pieces to the best of their ability, make them the most active they can be, get your rooks into the game, gain space, don't blunder your pieces, attack your opponent. These are really exciting things to learn about in the game of chess, and learning the first few basic things about each of those principles will, again, really launch you forward in your playing strength. I would also learn some very basic endgame principles, like how you want to activate your king in the endgame because it's safer to bring out your king when there are less pieces on the board. When queens are traded and maybe some knights and bishops are traded, you're probably not going to get mated. You could, but you're probably not going to, so it may be safer and wise to bring out your king as an attacking piece. You also, in the middle game and end game, want to know the principle of trading pieces if you are up material. If you are up a queen and you just keep trading pieces down and all of the rest of them fall off the board, then it's just going to be you with a queen against your opponent's king and some pawns, and it's going to be pretty easy to win that game because you already learned how to mate with queen and king versus king. And you also want to know how pawns become very important in the endgame. You want to push your pawns up the board and be the first to promote them into a queen. Now, learning all of these principles is great, and it's going to really solidify your understanding of the game, but you also need to do the following step in order to actually improve, and that would be analyzing the games that you play after you play them. You want to go through your games and look for mistakes that you made and mistakes that your opponents made that you didn't capitalize on. Maybe they hung their queen and you didn't capture it because you didn't see it. Maybe you only spent 5 seconds on that move when you had 20 minutes on the clock, and you could have sat for an extra few minutes and seen their queen was hanging and captured it. Or maybe there was this really strong attacking idea that you didn't see or didn't go for, so maybe you need to develop your understanding of attacking chess because you obviously didn't understand that attacking possibility or strength in that game. Analyzing your games like this will help you direct your study outside of actual playing and help you prevent wasting time studying things that you already have a good understanding of, and instead maximizing your study time by looking at stuff that you really need to work on. Another thing I would recommend to beginners just starting out learning how to play chess would be to find a friend or a family member in real life to play with. See if there's a chess club near you or an after-school program or something like that. Or maybe your friend has been watching chess videos like this and wants someone to play with. Playing with people over the board in real life will help develop your social tie to the game and help you get a deeper understanding of how this game can bring people together. And I just think it's a really great experience to sit across from a real human, not a screen, and play the moves and talk about the game as well, and maybe talk about things other than the game while you're just sitting over the board. It's a really great opportunity to just sit with someone and focus on something that's a bit slower paced than a lot of the digital things that we have going on in our fast-paced world. So take that for what you will. And one of the final things that I would recommend to a beginner playing chess would be keep going. And remember, learning anything from scratch is very difficult. You're going to get some initial wins and you're going to make some pretty quick progress, but then it may slow down and you're going to start losing games and you're going to feel your confidence drop because you're losing those games and you're going to feel like you suck. Well, here's the thing. We all suck at chess, right? Even the grandmasters will lose games and blunder. If you think about a chess master or grandmaster, they've lost way more games than you have ever played or probably will ever play. So losing games is natural. It is part of the process. And don't let that discourage you and prevent you from experiencing the game and playing it in general, because it really is a great game. And losing actually teaches you a lot of valuable skills as well, like how to handle that kind of defeat and how to change your mindset so that you have a positive outlook on it, rather than digging into yourself. Oh man, I shouldn't have, doing that's negative and it's not productive. But if instead you look, oh, I lost that game, let me see why. Okay, in the future, I can change this and maybe avoid that mistake in the future. Another little bonus tip here that I would recommend is to actually get a physical chessboard and to play with it and, go through games on that physical board. You can get cheap ones anywhere online or in most stores. Doing this helps develop your personal tie to the game and it makes it more meaningful. And I just really recommend it. If you haven't sat down with a chessboard for, an hour at a time and just played a game or gone through a game that you have played, it's a really great experience. It helps you sit with yourself and learn a lot. So I would recommend getting a physical board and spending a bit of time with it. All right, if you made it to the end of this video, I would like to thank you. I really do appreciate it. Make sure you like and subscribe. And also I would love if you could leave a comment down below and let me know what your favorite thing about chess is, what draws you to the game. I would love to get your thoughts on that and kind of connect to some of you guys. So let me know and have a great rest of your day.